Welcome and blessings, magical community. Welcome to my channel, Emerald Moon. In this video, I'm going to do a book review. I have been asked to do a book review on a book that I have been reading called A Witch Alone, 13 Moons to Master Natural Magic. A practical handbook. And the author is Marian Green. So I haven't done a book review before, and I'm not really sure how to do a book review, so please be kind. This is my first book review. I started reading this book because it was about being a solo practitioner in magic and in witchcraft. The very first book I read on solo magic and witchcraft practices was this bad boy that I'm sure lots of people will recognize, the Scott Cunningham's Wicker, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner. And I'm sure many people have cut their, many witches have cut their teeth on this book. You can see, like, I have gone through and made some little notes. So the beginning of Scott Cunningham's book, the first part of the book is theoretical, and the second part of the book is exercises and also his Book of Shadows as well. When I was first starting, I was looking for a list of new beginners books that I could read, and a lot of the recommendations, I would say the majority of 9 out of 10 recommendations had the Scott Cunningham's Guide for the Solitary Practitioner listed as one of the books to read. So I found his book like eating a dry Weet-Bix. It was very, he doesn't say you have to do this or do that, but he does set out specific things, like how you should have your altar set up, and you know, which way it should face, and which side is the god side and which side is the goddess side, and I didn't identify with that. So it does have a lot of other really good things in it, such as spells and rituals that I have marked, but some of the other things I didn't identify with, and I didn't actually do the exercises. But I did find that it's quite a good reference book for correspondences, like herbs and colours and other things, and his spells and rituals for the Sabbats. So that wasn't too bad. But anyway, I'm giving the review on the A Witch Alone book. So I'll just start with a poem that's right at the beginning. It's called The Paradoxal Goddess. Lady of the threefold shifting light, whose form is earth by day and night, and yet about you flows eternal ocean, goddess so still, yet in perpetual motion. Moon, sister self, and triple aspect of the triple one, maiden god creator, wise and ancient crone. Thou who art earth and moon and sea, mother of all, thou madest me. from your dark bones, from green and flesh, from crystal waters and the quiet wind's breath. These came from you and now are me, eternal spirit clothed in frailty. Yet beyond these there endless dwells a light that from some star seed fell, goddess of life and love and paradox, keeper of the keys to all the locks of mysteries of earth and sky. Pray answer me, who am I? So I really liked that poem. There's one for the Lord of the Wildwood, and there's also a Song of the All-Mother. So there's 3 poems in the beginning of the book. Now this book is similar to Scott Cunningham's solo practitioner book, because it's, even though it doesn't actually mention the word Wicca in it, it is obvious to me it is Wiccan based. Unlike Scott Cunningham's book, I found this book very, the way that she writes is really poetic, with beautiful language, and I like that. She describes what the solo path is and exercises that she has in the book at the end of every chapter. So at the end of every chapter she has exercises to do, so lists other books by other authors to read. So just a little tiny snippet of an example of what I was talking about with how she writes here, where she says, "What I am writing is not gospel. It is not holy writ carved on tablets of stone, but a treasure trove of ideas gleaned from the fields of life over many years. This is not an easy path to follow, nor is it for all. Those who set out upon the hidden ways need to desire that secret knowledge, long for it in their hearts, yearn for it in their souls, and be willing in turn to offer continuing personal dedication, commitment, and love." So, and it's written like that the whole entire way through the book. So that was one major aspect of the book that I really enjoyed, was the way, was her writing style. So she goes through her definition, or how she defines witchcraft, and she often refers to witchcraft as the old ways, as the old religion. She explains that the exercises that she provides in the book are timed with the phases of the moon. So for the whole entire moon phase, from the new moon to the full moon to the dark moon, is how you work through each chapter of the book. So there is 13 chapters. The book is also written, so she not only writes about witchcraft as the old religion, but she also says things like, when she's talking about the Sabbats, she talks about them as the old rites, or witchcraft or magical practices as the old ways. So always referring back to like folk magic. So it's quite folk magic based, which I really enjoyed reading on. And all throughout the book she talks about going out in going out into nature, so meditating with trees, going out into the garden, going out and exploring your biosphere, and also connect you back to your ancestors and back to the old ways. So the author is actually from the UK, so when she talks about like the old ways and ancestors and things like that, is referring to the Celtics and the Druids and that. So in terms of being culturally diverse, there's not that in this book. So if you're looking for that, this is not the book for you. But my ancestors are from that time and I am from that lineage. So for me, that resonated well with me. So one part of, as you can see, I have lots of little notes here. She goes through and explains about the goddess and the god, and she always brings the practices and meditations and exercises back to connecting with the goddess and the god, and building and establishing and building and strengthening that relationship. So that's, to me, that's not what I personally practice. So that's one thing that I did, you know, I didn't take that on, I left that. But in terms of the explanation that she used for the triple aspect of the goddess, I really liked, because it, when I first started, geez, that really had my head turning. You know, just absolutely spinning. I could not get that concept of the one goddess had three different aspects, and her explanation really made it quite clear to me. So I thought that was a really big plus for me for this book. So like I said, the word Wicca isn't actually mentioned in this book, but it does have philosophies, Wiccan philosophies like karma, and also gives reference to the Wiccan Rede, but only in small sections. It's not, you know, she doesn't harp on about it, or, you know, continually make reference to it or anything like that. So it's not heavy in that, but it is, you know, sprinkled throughout. One part of the suggested practices that she has in the book that I really liked, and I would like to use as part of my practice, is that she talks about instead of having an altar like I won't say everybody does, but I do, and I know a lot of people do have their altar set up inside. And because she places so much emphasis on getting out in nature, and you know, with the trees and the sticks and the rocks and the birds and the elements, she talks about having and using a staff as an altar to take out into outside, and using that as an altar. So doing a ritual outside, you know, that would be a really great way, I thought, of having a outside altar for ritual, in ritual space, or to create ritual space. Another point that she makes about the turning wheel of the year is called the Four Mighty Tides. Now I also like this. It's focus on inner psychic work and magical work as with the Sabbats, they focus more on the seasonal changes. So I liked that explanation as well, and I'm thinking of incorporating that also into my practice, because here in Australia with the seasonal changes, and especially where I live in Brisbane, we don't get major seasonal changes. You know, like we don't have snow. It's the weather is quite regulated. I mean, it's hot in summer. You know, you could burst out and it could spontaneously combust into flames, but you know, we don't have the autumnal season for Mabon here, and you know, Yule is not at Christmas, it's in June, so marrying those up with the you know, traditional times has been, you know, a big challenge that I've experienced, and I thought that the four tides that she speaks of would, I think, really help me with connecting to my own personal wheel of the year. So that's just something that I'm, a little side note that I'm thinking about doing. There's some things in the book that I don't necessarily agree with her point of view. She talks about with working magic that there's no need for you know, all the drama, the ritual gestures, paraphernalia, witch tools and statues, because she believes that they're unnecessary for magic, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. Do I think that they're absolutely necessary? No, I don't think they're absolutely necessary. However, I do believe that to a certain point, and particularly as a beginner, that they are tools to use in witchcraft to be able to focus our magic, because we do live in a modern day society with you know, so much you know, clutter and noise and technology and you know, constant things like traffic and things like that. So no, not necessarily, and I'm sure that you get to a point where none of it at all is necessary, but as a beginner I would say that they're very useful. She firmly discourages the use of crystals unless you have found them yourself and you can only have one. I understand why she is of this opinion, because of the, you know, unethical harvesting of crystals, you know, the same as you know, coal, and they're, you know, a finite resource and things like that. However, just one crystal, I mean, I would say that I have a very small crystal collection in comparison to some other witches, and you know, they all have their unique properties and they all have their, you know, unique energies and their unique uses, and I just, unless she means, you know, one of each, like give me one of each, yeah, give me one of everything. Unless she's talking like that, then no, I would not agree with that. She also has quite a strict view on shamanism, and that to become based on the roots of the tradition, to become a shaman, you have to nearly die. And you can't become a shaman through initiation or by teaching. You have to have suffered a near-death experience, because only then you're showed how to become a shaman healer, once you've gone to that other side and, you know, bringing back that shaman power through the land of the dead. So I'm not sure if I 100% agree with that opinion. But overall, I really enjoyed the book, and I would definitely recommend it to a beginner, because I really enjoyed it. I hope I did this book review justice. Like I said, it was my first time, so please be gentle, and thank you for watching.